Hi, my name is Elaine, and I'm going to tell you a story about an afterlife encounter. I was 47 years old at the time, and I was living in St. Cloud, Minnesota. We had just moved to St. Cloud, Minnesota, and joined a welcome committee. And so we all stood and introduced ourselves, and then one lady stood up and she said, I'm new here, but I'm leaving shortly. I'm going to Ojai, California, and I used to be a master graphologist for the criminal department in Minnesota. And I have a lot of handwriting analysis books that I don't want to pack. So I'd like to do one more course on handwriting analysis if anybody would be interested. So about 30 of us raised our hands, and so we went to the class, and it was really, really interesting. And toward the end of it, she said, if anybody would like to have any handwriting analyzed, since I did that for my life work, I'd be willing to do it free. So she said I would need about 2 to 3 pages of handwriting. Doesn't matter what it is or language or anything, you just bring it in. And so I raised my hand and I said yes, and so she took my name down. And the next day I brought over my handwriting, and my handwriting was from my mother. Now, my mother died when she was 23 years old, and I was just, let's see, I would have been about a year, 7 months old, something like that. And they thought at the time that she had TB, but as it turned out, it was heart disease. Well, anyway, she left and she died when she was 23. And so I was just going on 2.5 to 3 years of age. So I really didn't know too much about my mother. So I thought, well, this is a good way to learn about my mother other than what everybody had always told me, that, oh, she's this wonderful lady and blah, 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 blah. You know, they only tell you good things. But I told this handwriting analyst, I said, I want to know other things about my mother. Did she have a temper? What was she like? Would she have scolded me? What was she like as a personality? So yeah, I can do that. So I gave her the sheets. So one of our last encounters, something made me go really early, and I'm not an early bird. I'm always timely, but I'm never early. But something made me go really early. So hesitantly, I went and knocked on the front door, and she opened it up, and she said, oh, Elaine, she said, I'm so glad you're here. I said, I hope I'm not intruding because I'm really early. I'll just stay out in my car. Oh, no, 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 come in, because there's something I want to tell you. So I said, okay. And she said, but I don't know how to tell you because you're going to think I'm really goofy, and you won't believe anything I have to tell you. And out of my mouth comes, oh, you saw my mother. I have no idea why I said that. I mean, absolutely none. And she goes, oh, she said, I didn't know how to tell you. I said, yes, I did. So come on in. Come on in. I want to share this with you. So I went in and she said, Elaine, I looked over all your handwriting, and by the way, I need to tell you that this handwriting was in Finnish. Now, this lady had no idea what she was reading. It doesn't matter what the words are, it's how you write them and the pressures and all this kind of thing. So she said, I just finished your mother's handwriting analysis, and she said, I need to tell you that as I got closer and closer to the end of it, I would have this overwhelming sense of sadness about this loss this woman was for these people. And she said, so as I'm finishing, and when you do handwriting analysis, you wear all kinds of stuff, magnify the handwriting so you can see all the stuff that most people don't see for pressure and etc. She said, so I had my magnifier on, and all of a sudden as I'm finishing up, I see this blur on the side, on my peripheral, and she said, I thought, what is that? So she said, I glanced up, and here's this image. This woman came to me, and she said, oh, what? And she said, the woman said, do not portray sadness. I am very happy where I am. And then she left. And she said, I said, oh, okay. So she said, now, do you want to know what I saw? I said, yeah, I'd be very interested to see. She said, well, I saw a woman with red or auburn hair and green eyes. And she had on this kind of a Dirndl top. She said, one of those, that has the little cords kind of I can gather right here. It's just, that's how I could see you, but white. And then with this auburn hair and green eyes, very friendly. And I have to tell you that that's all I've ever heard my aunt and my family say is my mother had. auburn hair, and green eyes. So she said, all I can tell you is this is what I saw. And she said she's just extremely happy where I am. So I got all the handwriting and I looked at it, and yes, I learned all kinds of things about my mother from that handwriting analysis. Like at an early age, she learned to keep her mouth shut because it got her into trouble. So she was very opinionated. She said she was very intelligent. She had a sense of rhythm. Could have been a dancer. Should have been a dancer. Played many instruments. And so I thought, oh, that sounds all kind of nice, kind of good, So, but those kinds of things I didn't know about my mother. So, a couple years later, there was a family reunion on my mother's side. And my mother was the youngest of 11 children. And her brother, the next youngest to her, they were the buds of the family. They kind of were buddies, as brother and sister can be. Sat down next to me, and he says, Elaine, I want to just kind of share a few things about your mother. And she said, I don't know how much you know about your mother. And so I said, okay. So he said, yeah, she was really unique. She's very intelligent. We all loved her because she was the baby, so she was extremely spoiled. But yeah, she was very outspoken. And I said, okay. And then he says, this is my Uncle Abby. And he says, she always wanted to be a dancer. And but we didn't have any money. There were 11 of us, and we didn't have any money in our family to send her to any dance lessons or anything. But that's how she met your father. I said, really? I said, yeah. They met on a dance floor. Your dad was teaching dance steps naturally, and she said, who is that man out there? And so my Uncle Abby said, well, I know who he is. That's Donald. And so he said, I'll introduce you. And that's,
Oh, what just happened? Oh, no, it's still recording. Sorry.
oh, okay. So that's how they had met. And yes, she played by ear. She played music. My father played all kinds of instruments by ear. And so they had that in common. And so anyway, that's my story of a life encounter. So I guess I just like to share. And it's just good to know that there's an afterlife and the people there are happy. I have more stories too, but more encounters. Anyway, that's my